Shadow Minister Joy Morrissey.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And it is an honour to be responding again to business questions as we march on to recess. And I know that the Leader of the House has had a challenging few weeks, but I want to start by thanking her for everything that the Leader has done to advocate for members in this House. But first, I want to point out that this morning we learned the government has been prevented from signing their Chagos surrender deal by the High Court. When will the Prime Minister come to the House and explain this latest humiliation and masterclass in how not to negotiate in Britain's interests? Now, I know that members opposite and members across this House have often said things that we regret in the chamber and elsewhere. And I know that the Right Honourable Lady has said she regrets her words on rape gangs. But it is for the victims of those rape gangs to decide whether those regrets are enough. And it is time for the government to finally take action on this scandal. So will she grant a debate in government time on the rape gang scandal and commit the government to the national inquiry the victims deserve? Now, I spoke last time in business questions and asked the Leader of the House to ask the Chancellor to U-turn on her disastrous economic policies. Since then, things have got even worse. This week, inflation that they inherited at 2% from the last government has surged to 3.5%. Today, public sector net borrowing hit £20.2 billion, the fourth highest figure for the month since records began. We've had a disastrous budget followed by an emergency one, and it looks like the next one could be catastrophic. It seems, though, that the Deputy Prime Minister has also had enough of the Chancellor's economic policies too. Except we on this side want to see the tax raids on businesses and households reversed. The Deputy Prime Minister wants more tax and more spend. But then, yesterday, the Prime Minister wouldn't rule out more tax rises either. So I think we can all see what's coming. £40 billion of tax rises last autumn was never going to be enough for this government. A government that is tough with the vulnerable, but weak with the unions. Now, she may be on leadership manoeuvres, but it was quite the shopping list of new taxes that the Deputy Prime Minister is after. Although, curiously, further taxes on second homes wasn't included. It is now the people who save hard for their retirement and build businesses that are next in the firing line for the tax raid obsession of this Labour government. So, to pensioners, farmers, and business owners, we can now add savers to the list of people that this government seemed determined to make poorer. So, will the Leader of the House grant a debate in government time on the government's economic plans so the Deputy Prime Minister can also come and set out her tax plans for the House? I'm very interested to see the tag team operation there. Or, if the Deputy Prime Minister is otherwise engaged, maybe we could turn our attention to yesterday's welcome U-turn from the Prime Minister. Now, I understand the Prime Minister has always been gifted with the most flexible of principles. But it was quite the slight yesterday to see him admit to promising a U-turn on punishing pensioners without any date for the U-turn or explanation of whether it would be all or just some pensioners. Crucially, we didn't hear an apology from him. So, will the Leader of the House grant a debate in government time on the winter fuel payment U-turn so the Chancellor or the PM can come to this House and apologize to pensioners and set out when she will give pensioners the certainty they can heat their homes next winter. Let me conclude by saying this. Yes, we are, thank you. We are watching the slow motion car crash with no economic plan but to tax and spend as fast as they can. It's not the gingerbread man, Madam Deputy Speaker, it's fast and tax as fast as they can, and that's what's happening here. And we are watching the chaos of a Chancellor and a Deputy Prime Minister falling all over themselves to see who can put up the most taxes. We are watching a Prime Minister who has to undo the decisions of his own government in the space of months, but can't bring himself to apologize. The government is already showing that it has failed to learn the lessons of all socialist governments, that eventually they run out of everyone else's money. This one seems determined to do so in record time. And the only losers, Madam Deputy Speaker, will be the British people. Thank you.
Today also marks the day a year since the general election was called, Madam Deputy Speaker. In the rain, I think we all remember that. But let's be honest, the rain is still pouring on the Conservative Party. They don't seem to have learnt very much. They might have thought that from that day things couldn't get even worse, but they are doing, aren't they? But I do want to say to the Honourable Lady, I very much respect her and enjoy working with her on the Modernisation Committee and across the House, and I thank her for yet again stepping in at short notice to cover for the Shadow Leader, who I think is performing other parliamentary functions elsewhere. I'm sure we'll see him back soon. She asks me about grooming gangs, and I just want to be absolutely clear that this government, myself included, we want the victims and the survivors to be at the absolute heart of everything that we do, and that their terrible experiences are acted on and that those responsible are brought to justice. And that's exactly what we are doing, and we will leave no stone unturned in bringing about justice for the victims. And what they want first and foremost is for action to be taken, for all of those recommendations, those many recommendations of the previous national inquiry to be implemented, and that's what we're doing. And also that Louise Casey's full audit of these matters will be brought to this House in very short order. She asks about a number of issues relating to the economy, but I do think, Madam Deputy Speaker, it's just worth us reminding ourselves what we inherited and what we have actually had to deal with since we came into office. We had to fix the gaping hole, and they don't want to talk about it, the gaping hole that their party left in the public finances. Pay deals on desks but unfunded. Billions of pounds on asylum hotels not accounted for. All the reserves gone in July of the financial year. New hospitals, nothing more than a work of fiction. And that's why we had to come in and fix the economy and get economic stability back into the economy. Because those who pay the heaviest price when the economy crashes and when markets lose confidence are those on fixed incomes, like pensioners and the poorest in society. And it's also the value of people's pensions that fall as well. So we've acted on the £22 billion black hole, and we've got the economy going again. And they don't like to hear it, but that's exactly what we're doing. Growth is up. Interest rates have been cut 4 times since the general election. 500,000 more people have moved into work since the general election, and the UK is now the fastest growing European economy in the G7. And real wages have gone up for the first time in a decade after the party opposite left living standards fallen for the first time in our history over their parliament. So we are fixing the mess that they left behind. And she asks about winter fuel as well. And as the Prime Minister made clear yesterday, now that the economy is showing those signs of recovery because of the actions that we've taken, we want to look at that threshold. Because first and foremost, we want to make sure that people feel the benefits of that economic growth and that they've got more money in their pockets, and that includes pensions as well. However, we won't be making spending commitments without saying where the money's coming from, and it's absolutely right that those decisions are made in a future fiscal event, as the Prime Minister said yesterday. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, a year on from that rainy day on Downing Street, it couldn't be clearer, could it really? Because the Conservative Party really are having an existential identity crisis. A year on from their worst defeat, they're still going backwards. They don't know who they are anymore. They don't know what they stand for anymore, and they just don't know what they're even doing. They once proudly stood for free trade, and now they're against any trade deals. They used to claim to be the party of business, but in opposing our agreement with the EU, they're setting themselves against the FSB, the CBI, the British Chamber of Commerce, Hospitality UK and the Food and Drink Association. They were once for levelling up and reindustrialisation of the North, but now they're against new energy infrastructure and the jobs of the future. And they were once compassionate Conservatives, I remember that very famously, supporting the NHS, but now they oppose the much-needed funding that it's getting. So, a year on, Madam Deputy Speaker, for that rainy day in Downing Street, they just haven't learnt a thing, and they haven't said sorry for the mess they've left behind, whether it's on the economy or whether it's on prisons, that we just heard earlier from a statement. It's down to this Labour government to clear up the mess that they left, to fix the economy, to fix public services, boost people's living standards, cut immigration and get the waiting list down.
John Trickett.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Can I associate myself first with the comments repudiating anti-Semitism from